Let's now introduce Gaurang Shah, who joins us this morning. Gaurang, thank you so much for your time and for joining us here on News9. First up, just help us understand the kind of sell-off that we saw in the textile stocks yesterday, that fear that Bangladesh is likely to get a sweeter export market in the US as compared to India, sort of ruining and raining down on hopes of Indian textile manufacturers, which were riding high on hope last week.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Good morning to all your viewers and to you as well. So I think, even earlier we spoke about this India-US trade deal and US's trade deal or FTA related, deals with the rest of the world, especially with our neighbors. And I had mentioned that, it is always better to know the details and then take a decisive call in terms of your investment philosophy and theory. There was uncertainty, there still is uncertainty unless and until the deal is signed, sealed and delivered. I think it is not done unless it is done. And with this Bangladesh details emerging, I think the fine edge that we had about a day or two back in terms of Indian textile sector now seems to have gone away, drifted away rather, with the kind of advantage that Bangladesh textile sector will have with respect to the trade deal that has been done with US. Having said that, I think this is still work in progress, Kartik, to be very honest. And short to medium term, depending upon the news flow, whether how credible they are or how true it is in black and white remains to be seen. But this choppiness and volatility will remain unless and until we have a lot of clarity. And like I mentioned, unless it is signed, sealed and delivered. So we don't cover many stocks in the textile universe. There's just one stock, and before I give that name, Kartik, prudent to allow me to give a disclosure.
Sure.
That all recommendations that I'll be sharing this morning on your show, Kartik, are a part of our fundamental research team recommendation from a long-term point of view.
Right.
Our company, Geojit or I, we do not have any kind of personal interest, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we give advice to our clients on similar lines. They might have their investment interest. So Wellspun Living is one textile-related company that we are positive on.
Okay.
Purely from a domestic point of view.
Right.
And like I mentioned, sectors not only textile. I think as we go further to that day in the March when the deal will be signed, sealed and delivered, we will witness a little bit of choppiness and volatility.
All right, choppiness and volatility likely to stay, but any sort of identifiable pattern right now, given that Nifty 50 is near that 26,000 level. In fact, just about 15 points or so short of that 26,000 level. What are the next sort of resistance levels that you're anticipating for Nifty 50 until, of course, March arrives and we understand the final details of the trade deal?
So Kartik, on this week, Monday, our company Geojit has a YouTube channel called Geojit Spotlight, and over there, in our weekly market outlook, I had mentioned that if we are able to cross over 25,800 decisively, then the move towards 26,000 will definitely be visible. And that level of 26,000 will be seen on the horizon. Now that we are virtually few points away from that 26,000 level, Kartik, I think a decisive crossover and a close about 26,000 on the Nifty spot I'm talking about, Kartik, will take us eventually in the coming days and weeks to the all-time high that we've seen of somewhere close to about 26,370 odd. And I think we will be able to cross over that as well. A couple of points, Kartik. Relentless selling has eased off as far as FIs are concerned. India Volatility Index, VIX, which used to be at 15 plus, is currently at 12.25 or 11.25 or 11.5, which is again a big positive.
Yeah.
And steady earnings, whatever we have seen yesterday and whatever remains to be seen in this week, because after this week, Kartik, will be curtains down for third quarter earnings.
That's right.
And to sum it up for your viewers, I think the good part about the Q3 earnings was that there were no dark spots or no red flags. So that was a big positive. And I think even if India Incorporate or India Inc. has delivered these kind of numbers in an environment which was very challenging, then I think as we have a lot of clarity, this performance could increase in the fourth quarter and the next financial year.
All right. So that is as far as the broader sort of outlook on the market goes, but also some news items that, Gaurang, I'll take the liberty to run past you. And the first one, of course, comes from the government's decision to disinvest or partly divest its stake in BHEL. How significant is that? Because we are seeing some negative momentum on the stock that morning.
I think this ball has to gather more momentum, honestly, Kartik.
Okay.
And this is my personal view, and I mentioned this earlier also, that government business is to form policies and govern the country and create conducive environment for domestic corporates to perform well and for foreign direct investment to come in at a much faster rate.
Okay.
As divestment process has been spoken about in detail in every budget, but unfortunately, you've not seen that kind of momentum at ground level. So this is a good initiative. I think the OFS is at a discount of about 8 to 10% compared to where BHEL stock closed yesterday.
Yeah.
As a disclosure, we have a positive coverage on BHEL from a long-term point of view.
Okay.
One overhang on the counter is execution of order book because that has been at a slow pace.
All right. So, but BHEL stock, despite this sort of, one would say, a glimmer of good hope, is actually trading down almost 6% or so at market open. Do you think this is an opportunity to buy BHEL?
This is reaction to the OFS price, Kartik.
Right.
And it has always happened whenever a company comes out with an offer, and if that offer is at a discounted price than the cash market price, then the stocks reacts accordingly, whether it is BHEL or any other stock. So from a long-term point of view, to answer your question, yes, it is time to invest in BHEL from a long-term point of view.
All right, time to invest in BHEL is the word coming in from Gaurang Shah. I also want to talk to you about Titan. What a stellar set of numbers, and who would have expected that an eyewear maker and a watch maker reporting almost a 50% jump in net profit. Of course, you know, we've had the biggest bulls ever walked on Dalal Street, always being bullish on Titan. But what is your view on Titan at this moment? A 50% jump in Q3 net profit to almost 1,500 crore rupees.
So I think this is what I was speaking about, Kartik, that despite of a challenging environment, Indian corporates have delivered a decent set of numbers. Titan has delivered a super set of numbers.
Right.
It was beyond everybody's imagination or numbers that they had penciled down. Again, a disclosure, we've been maintaining a positive stance on Titan from a pretty long period of time. And this is one company, for the clarification and understanding of all your viewers, is not only in gems and jewelry, it has got wristwatches, gems and jewelry. It took over a company called Carrot Lane, which is a premium platinum jewelry manufacturing company. Sometime back, it took over a company in Dubai called Didamas, if I'm not mistaken. They are into eye care, they are into accessories, they are into backpacks, they're into personal products, etc., etc. So contribution comes in from across verticals. And we maintain a positive stance on Titan from a long-term point of view.
All right, positive stance on Titan. I want to also run past you the next news item, and this is Tata Motors commercial vehicles demerged from the overall Tata Motors stack last year, and now it has received the biggest ever 70,000 units order from Indonesia. Now, ever since this demerger, in fact, if you remember, Gaurang, last year, Tata Motors was one of the laggards, and that stock at a certain point was down almost 50% from its 52-week cycle. And now, after the demerger, we have been seeing some positive momentum on the passenger vehicle side, but this sort of robust order book for commercial vehicles likely to bode well for the company going forward?
So this is a classic case, allow me if I can make that statement, Kartik, from rags to riches. I believe it was trading at underperformance that you mentioned, Kartik. 150, 200 from those levels. It was an outperforming stock in the auto pack, which went beyond 1100, correct me if I'm wrong. And then because of certain constraints, issues, global slowdown, JLR not doing well in the global arena, the underperformance. And now with the company hived off into two separate entities, Tata Motor Commercial Vehicle and Tata Motor Passenger Vehicle. As a disclosure, when the combined entity stood, we had a positive coverage. Post that, after the company split into two, the coverage is under review, Kartik. So I won't go as specific into buy, sell and hold either for Tata Motors PV or CV, because it is under review. But the opportunity is huge for this particular company. So, you know, and this trade deals that are signed, which...
All right, we seem to have lost Gaurang Shah. We'll try to get him back. Meanwhile, another corporate news was from Britannia, and Britannia saw a 17% rise in Q3 net profit at about 682 crore rupees. Gaurang Shah is back with us. Gaurang, why don't you complete your point on Tata Motors commercial vehicle before we move to Britannia?
Apologies for this wonky internet corrections, Kartik. Both the companies are under review, Kartik, but the opportunity is huge. trade deals signed with various countries will give opportunity for companies like Tata Motors for their high premium end segment, JLR, exports related, pricing related, duty related, and commercial vehicle segment for not only Tata Motors but for other commercial vehicle manufacturing companies like, for example, Eicher Motor, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra and Mahindra. There is a lot of opportunity because now with the kind of Bharat Mala Pariyojana, the road network, specifically to dedicated freight corridors, is opening up huge opportunities for logistic companies to get in more number of commercial vehicles.
And finally, last talk in news this morning, Britannia, 17% rise in Q3 net profit, 682 crore rupees in net profit for the December quarter. Again, FMCG, the defensive stocks as we call them, not really directly linked to changes in RBI's monetary policy stance and overall the consumption boom that we are seeing with the reduction in GST. Your long-term view on Britannia, Gaurang?
Always positive, Kartik. India is, and India will remain a consumption-driven economy. 140 crore population, large 35% of it is young Gen Z. Age is somewhere close to about 28 to 30 years or maybe below that. Consumption is a big theme that is driven by this kind of population that we have, young and energetic. Cost of production has come down because the input cost has gone down, profit margins have improved. Whatever happened on 22nd of September 2025 in terms of new avatar of GST 2.0. Before that, good monsoon, so semi-urban rural India push in terms of consumption going up. And before that, in the last budget, Honorable Finance Minister gave a huge change in terms of no tax for 12.75 lakhs. All those people. So I think all this will translate into positivities in the fourth quarter and the coming financial year. Britannia, Tata Consumer, Godrej Consumer, ITC, HUL, Nestle, Dabur. These are some of the names on which our fundamental team has a positive coverage.
All right, a positive coverage on pretty much every FMCG stock out there. Gaurang Shah, thank you so much for your input and for joining us. Pleasure having you with us always.